So I did a video before about the importance of measuring your net worth and why you would want to measure your net worth and how to do it. But let's dive a bit deeper into one aspect of your net worth, which is your car or cars. So how does your car or cars affect your net worth? Is it an asset, a liability? Does it affect your net worth positively or not? And how would this impact your decision when it comes to deciding how to purchase a car or whether to even purchase a car? So there are pretty much three ways for you to have a car to use every day, sort of. Either you buy it outright in cash, or you lease it, or you finance it. So cash is obviously you just have, let's say, $50,000, you go and buy a car for $50,000. Leasing is like a long-term rental kind of solution where you never own the car, you're just like renting it for like a couple of years, for example, so you pay like a few hundred every month, for example. And then finance is where you're like sort of taking a loan out to eventually own the car and you're like paying in installments. So when I'm talking about adding your car to your net worth and everything, obviously this is assuming that you have your net worth somewhere being calculated. So in my case, it's the app that I've talked about in a video before, and I talked about two different apps. The one called Worth It is actually the better one in my opinion, and that's the one that I use and I recommend other people to use as well. The other one has some perks, but it has a lot of downsides and it's a bit complicated as well. So Worth It is probably the best app in my opinion. And this is not sponsored or affiliated by them or anything like that. I just really like the app and I use it. So first of all, why would you want to include your car or cars in your net worth? So it is important because when you are calculating your net worth, you want to kind of know how much you have, how much money you have access to. And your car or cars are part of that. So if you have, that way you will have an idea of, for example, if I needed this much money in like a couple weeks, I could either sell some shares, I could sell one of my cars that I don't really need, I could sell this or that, or I could just take it out of a bank account. So a car is one of those things. And yes, a car itself is an asset. It might be a depreciating asset depending on the car, but it is still an asset. It's not a liability in itself. It's a liability when you have a loan or like you're financing the car, and even then the car is still an asset, but it's an asset that has a liability, which is the loan. And some cars can be appreciating assets or even stable assets. Like if you have a car that just doesn't really go down in value, or you bought a car that you bought it used. So because the main hit is the main depreciation hits when the car goes from brand new to used. So if you're buying a car that has already been used, it's not gonna go down that drastically after that. And especially if you buy a car like a Lexus, for example, which tends to usually hold its value, you're probably gonna be left with around the same price that you bought it at, unless you like used it very heavily or damaged it or something like that. And then of course you have classic cars and collectible cars, which can go up in value and can be very profitable assets for you as well. And you could also have cars which you bought for personal use and you're renting out on like Turo or something like that. So it's an asset that's depreciating, but it's also bringing you an income from renting it out. So how would you calculate the car in your net worth? Like, it's pretty simple. So if you bought the car outright in cash, brand new, when you have it, its value would in most cases be less than what you paid for it brand new. So if you bought a brand new car for $50,000, just driving it home will make it worth like maybe $40,000. Depending on the car, of course. Some cars can become more expensive if it was like some Lamborghini or something that you booked from like 2 years ago. But for like a regular car, it would lose value. And if you bought the car used, chances are when you drive it home, by the time you drive it home, it's still worth whatever. Like, let's say it's the $50,000 car, but you bought it used for like $30,000. It's gonna still be worth $30,000 until you add more miles on it or damage it or do something like that. So buying it outright in cash, you could just go ahead and add like $30,000 or $40,000 to your net worth and label it as like a car, which is like not super liquid, not super illiquid. It's like, somewhere in the middle. And it's probably better to be more conservative with the estimate, like maybe underestimate it, just so you're in reality more comfortable than you think you are, if that makes sense. The second scenario is if you have financed the car, so you're like taking a bank loan or something like that and you're paying monthly installments. So this $50,000 car, you've put down, let's say, $5,000 down payment, and then you're paying like, I don't know, like a 400 a month for it for whatever many years or something like that. So you still owe like $45,000. How I would calculate this is you check the value of this car, and how to check the value, I'll get into that as well. So you check the value of this car, and let's say you've just bought it and now it's worth, let's say, $40,000. You put as a liability like minus $45,000, for example, because that's what you owe on the car. You also add the value of the car as an asset. So you add 40,000 as an asset, and you might be wondering, how do I owe more on the car than the value of the car, the current value of the car? And that's what's called, I think, underwater, like where the price of the car is the value of the car now is less than what you owe on it. Financing a car in this way would impact your net worth by 40,000 in positive equity and then 45,000 negative liability. So you basically affected your net worth by minus $5,000. I hope I got that right. And in case I forgot to mention, sorry, just going back to the first type where you bought a car in cash, yes, you would add like $40,000 to your net worth, but you would deduct 40,000 from like your bank account or something. So your net worth hasn't really changed, like you've just converted cash into the car. But if you bought the car brand new, you would be taking that depreciation hit. So let's say you lost $10,000 or whatever, which was that depreciation difference. And then the final type, which is if you're leasing or renting or something like that, which this doesn't really affect your net worth. It doesn't really come under asset or liability. It's an expense. So things like fuel and rent and utility bills and stuff like that is all expenses, groceries, stuff like that. The only thing that would affect your net worth would be like your bank account, because you are spending that $500 a month or something like that to lease it. But then your bank account is also having like your salary coming in and other expenses going out. So your bank account will be going up and down anyway, and you would probably be maintaining your net worth record, like let's say every month, every couple months, every quarter, every year, whatever you want. So every time, every period or whatever, whenever you feel like it, you could just check, how much is my car worth now, how much do I owe on it now, how much is left, whatever, things like that, how much is in your bank account now, and you can just update that. And if you want to check the value of your car, there's multiple ways to do it. Like you could just shop around and look for like the same car as yours and see what it's going for, or you can use apps like Car Vertical, which I'll hopefully link them below, which has a tool which is paid. You have to pay like £30 for one car for one report, or you can pay less if you do multiple reports. But using that, you can like check the value of your car. Car Vertical also gives you like a history of the car, if it's been in accidents or stolen or anything like that. But I mean, if you just want a free way, the best way, there might even be free tools. I think CarWow might do a free tool or something. But there's also like, you could just shop around and just check like how much is it going for on average. And as I said, like maybe either give yourself like a realistic estimate or even underestimate. Don't overestimate. Don't say, oh, it's going for like 40, I'll put 45. Like, underestimate, it's better. And as always, nothing in this video is financial advice. It's for entertainment purposes only. And if you want to know like why you should check your net worth or something like that, I'll hopefully link the video about the net worth apps and whatever below. You can check those out as well. And don't forget to like and share and subscribe, and let me know your comments below. And I love cars, so maybe even let me know what car you have, or what cars you have, or what cars you want to have. And yeah, I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.